So yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Edward, a dialogue lead from Type Thursday Berlin, and this is our very first online event, and it's super cool to see how many people already joined, and to see how to see the engagement from the Type community, not only from Berlin but also like from all around the world. And I think I gotta share my screen with you. Just one sec. Okay, I hope you see my screen now. So first before starting, I'll make a quick introduction about Type Thursday for those who are new or for those who are not familiar with what Type Thursday is. So in a nutshell, Type Thursday is a monthly gathering for the local type community where designers get to showcase their work, and they get questions and feedback from the audience. And the whole point is we're trying to kind of blur the lines between the speakers, so the designers and the audience, and just create an open conversation. So yeah, don't be shy and use the chat and leave your questions there, and we're gonna go through all of them by the end of the event. Yeah, so that's about it. Today we have two amazing designers. I'm talking about Charlotte Rohde and Vivien Hoffmann. I'm sure most of you are already accustomed to their amazing type design work. And today they're going to talk about their fundraising project, SoliType, which aims to help the people living in the refugee camps in Europe. So yeah, thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. And yeah, take it away.
Hi, thank you for the invitation. Okay, I'm gonna start sharing my screen now. Maybe someone has to allow me, I'm not quite sure. But 1 second.
Looks good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's a bit slow. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna present SoliType today from Vivien is in Berlin and I'm in Amsterdam. And it's a project we started like in November, I think. And we've done 2 rounds by now. We're gonna introduce them to you. And it's a project that we started out of a feeling of like, well, wanting to do something, but not really knowing how. And it's a project that kind of develops with time, and we're kind of figuring out as we go. So we're kind of presenting a work in progress, and we're really looking forward to get some like input and insights, because yeah, we're just figuring it out.
Yeah. Cool, then let's jump right in. Hi from me as well. I'm looking forward to talk to all of you today. And yeah, let's start with the reason why we came up with the idea for SoliType. And I guess it's quite obvious problem that has been around. You can go to the next slide. That has been around not only since last year, but due to the pandemic and the fire that happened in Moria and also in Camp Lipa in Bosnia, the living circumstances of the people that are forced to live in those camps got even worse, and there's a lot of suffering. And on the Balkan route, some people don't even live in a camp. They are forced to live in forests or abandoned buildings because they're getting pushed back by the border police, which is illegal, of course, but it's sadly still happening. And yeah, there's a lack of medical care, lack of psychological care, which most people would desperately need as they've been through a lot of traumatic experiences, but also basic human needs such as food or water is a problem. In the camps, there's no electricity, so even in winter, they have to sleep without heating. And yeah, it's all been boiling up last year, and I think Charlotte and me were both struggling with the question how we as designers and type designers can somehow find a way to help and support those people in need. Yeah.
Exactly. So actually, it was also quite spontaneous in a way. We were, we were wondering how can typography change the world, because it feels like a very distant topic, right? You kind of hear about it in the news, and then you're like, okay, but like, how can I do something? Also because we're not like in a position, like financial position, where we can like donate an amount of money ourselves that would make like a difference. And we thought about, well, what do we have to offer? What do we have to bring to the world? Well, we produce typefaces, which is like a very thankful product in that sense, as you can like you can send it out as many times as you want, and we kind of have a platform in that sense that we both have like some kind of like online presence. And what's needed to help is for sure money and also awareness, because we sometimes feel that design is a bit like it's easy to hide within design behind like a certain kind of formalism and like being very distant from like actual happenings. So we were actually just chatting, and I think I asked you, Vivien, about a good place to donate, or a good organization to donate, because well, I know that Vivien knows a lot about these things, so I asked her, and then we were just chatting, and we were like, hey, maybe we can just like, because I usually take 10 euros of a symbolic price for my typefaces from students, and I was like, maybe for a week we could just like give these 10 euros away for like donations, since it's a symbolic price anyway. And then we're like, hey, let's do it together. And then we were like, hey, it would be really cool if more people would join, because then of course we would make more money, and we would also multiply the awareness, or like snowballing basically. And well, it kind of like within a day, it kind of like exploded a little bit. Like this is a bit to show you how we work together. Like we worked a lot in Google Documents. Kind of like one of us would be typing, we were just like kind of how do you say, brainstorming. We were brainstorming, then like answering to each other in the Google Docs, since we know each other from before our bachelor's, but we also did our bachelor's together. Starting in 2013, I think, like a long time ago. And then we were both living in Berlin, and now I live in Amsterdam, so we didn't really have like, we couldn't really meet or anything. So we were working on Google Docs. And we were just collecting stuff. You can see here that we agree a lot with each other. Yeah, and we were talking about like what's the idea, like, and then we had to decide on anything, like what's the price, where do we donate to, how do we deal with it, like all this kind of stuff that had to be like thought through. How do we run the campaign, because in the end it's a social media campaign, right? Yeah, we went through that, and then we came up with a concept for the first round. And back then, I mean, we already thought about that we could maybe like think about more in the next steps, but like for that point we just wanted to do like this thing with the two of us for the first time. And we were just thinking, okay, we're gonna run a very simple Instagram campaign. We don't want to touch money, because then it gets like really complicated. So we were like, okay, people donate directly, and then they send us a screenshot, and we're gonna send a typeface out. We were decided to be open for 1 week, and we decided that students would stick with the 10 euros, and regular people who have an actual income, although that's of course blurry, But like, let's say someone with a like regular income would pay 20 euros or more if they can. We had some people who donated very generously. We also had some people who just bought all the typefaces. And we decided to donate to Leave No One Behind 2020.org in the first round. And we decided to only give out private licenses. Yeah, we're gonna get this later, I think.
Yeah, I think in the beginning we were, of course, debating what organization we should donate to, and of course there's no real right or wrong because money is needed everywhere, so you can't really make a mistake here. But yeah, for the first round we thought it's smart to use an NGO that is popular and that people have heard of already, so we appear a bit more serious because of course it was a new project, so we thought to go with something that people have an image in mind already, and Leave No One Behind, for the people who don't know it, they do work on Lesbos in Greece, and they distribute money to different smaller organizations who do work with the refugees locally. And in the second round, we wanted to shift the focus a little bit because as I said already, like there can't be enough attention on one of the problems, but it felt a little bit like all the news I saw on social media were mainly focusing on Moria or Lesbos, and the Balkan route was a bit more forgotten, if you can say that. So we decided to focus on No Name Kitchen in the second round, which is an organization who does they do humanitarian work and really try to help people that are lacking basic human needs. So it means they cook food, they distribute food, hand out clothes and sleeping bags, and just try to help where it's most needed on the Balkan route. That's also a very ambitious example of our social media plan, because we were also, of course, thinking, let's do this in the most professional way possible in a short amount of time. So as we both love Google spreadsheets, we came up with this beauty and just started to write some text and create a little schedule on what posts and what content we want to share on each day. Of course, in the end, we did it completely differently, but it kind of felt good in the beginning to have a bit of structure and to know what we want to communicate, and keep the balance of design work and showing off typefaces, but also making sure that we create some awareness and spread information and talk about the actual issue and don't only focus on the design part.
I think we also had to adjust a little bit because, I mean, we're both not social media experts. So it was like, kind of, we were like, okay, how many posts can you actually make a day? Like, how do you reach the most people and this kind of stuff? And it was like, we adjusted a bit as we went, but like, okay. Then we're gonna go into presenting the typefaces and the designers a little bit, just to talk about the curation of the project. So for the first round, we had Sascha Bente, Altiplano Typefaces, which is Rafael Verona, Pauline Le Pape, and Vivien and me, because it started with Vivien and me thinking about we want to like donate our own typefaces. And then since we pulled up the project really fast, but also because like, we're both not like, I mean, we also have to like pay our own rent. So we couldn't invest like endless time. And then Pauline is my roommate. Sasha is a friend of mine from Berlin. And Raphael I knew from, like, we taught a summer school together. And we just asked people that we knew would kind of be interested in joining. And we just asked them which typeface they want to donate. And what was important to us was that people don't donate like their bestseller, because then they would suffer like monetary loss. And we're also like, since we're all independent type designers, like we're not swimming in money. So we decided that it could be like typefaces in progress, or like some funky headline typeface, or like most of them are like on very different levels. Some of them don't have figures, but then others do. But it was for us really not about that, because it was not buying a typeface, but it was like getting any kind of typeface as a thank you for a donation. It was more like a little candy. Exactly. So this is Sasha's typeface, Licaria, that is, well, it exists in this one way. I think he finished it for us like very quickly. And this is the typeface from Raphael Verona, Paparazzi. I think it doesn't have minors, but like, yeah.
No, it does.
Huh?
I think it does. It did.
Oh, yeah, true, it does. Sorry. Okay, I didn't say anything. Whoopsie. That's mine. That is quite like a rough draft, actually, but I think it's.
La joya ahí se la deja Loli.
Hello?
Somebody needs to turn their mic off.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, kindly reminder to turn off your mic so we don't get any background noises. Thanks.
Well, Eduard, I think you can silence people if you want. Well, anyway, this is like a very rough draft of a typeface, but it's a funky headline typeface, so whatever, why not? And this is Pauline's typeface that goes back to letterings from her hometown, as far as I know, in the south of France. And this is, of course, Vivien's typeface. Do you want to say something about it?
No.
Okay. You made it for a friend, no? You made it for a portfolio.
Yeah, this was actually the first typeface or the first type design I've ever done in, I think, 3 years ago. And I can't see it anymore. Honestly, I hate it, but I'm glad that it got a good purpose now again, and I could get it out of the drawer for this project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just continue. This is the second round, and of course, we gained some experiences in the first round and decided to do some things differently. So one of the problems we experienced was that we got shadow banned by Instagram pretty quickly. For those who don't know, shadow ban is basically that the algorithm silences you and doesn't show your content in people's feeds anymore. And we could just see that the interaction with our posts went rapidly down. And we've heard it from other people who post political content that as soon as you use certain hashtags such as leave no one behind or Moria, Instagram doesn't like that, because Instagram likes cute selfies better. So we kind of had to think about a way how we can trick this algorithm a little bit and still get people to see our content and get people to donate. So what we thought would be a good idea is to maybe talk about the designers a bit more and introduce to the designers, and also show a picture of them so we get some faces into our content. And the tricky part here was that we, of course, didn't want this project to be like a self-promotion thing. I mean, I think we've all seen it before, that people pretend to, or not pretend, but that people do some things for charity, but then it kind of blows up into a huge self-promo gig. So that's something we were very aware of, and we wanted to not do this. So we thought it could be interesting to to this round, as we had more time, to ask different designers from different perspectives and different backgrounds, so we can represent as many different typefaces as possible. And did you want to just add something to that? No. Yeah,
No.
that was it. Yeah, you go on.
I mean, also this time, of course, we didn't throw our own ones in the pool. So that kind of like opened, of course, 2 more spots. And then also all of these designers have their own circles or their own social media audience. And of course, the more people you ask, the more it spreads. So we also tried to get people from very different circles in that sense, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, if you ask 2 people from Berlin, they probably like half of their circles are the same. So yeah, it was really about that. And we also were looking for like typefaces that are maybe not Latin, or typefaces that have like interesting background story to share. Yeah. And then what we were also thinking about was the licensing model, because we kind of see that giving out a private license is interesting for students, but we don't want students to be the main donors because they don't have the most money to give. So we were kind of thinking, and we were especially discussing this with Jeremy, and I think he's here. Hi, Jeremy. And he kind of insisted on having like a commercial license, but then I kind of thought it was that way, that actually the client should pay for the license. But this is something I would really like to discuss, because this is something that really confuses me, and at this point it shouldn't confuse me anymore, and I should know. So if anyone has comments or tips and tricks on that. But then also, Jeremy, I know that you, for example, work a lot for Velvetyne, which is open source anyway. So we were just like, okay, whatever, we're just gonna do different licenses then.
Yeah, I think at this point it was important what the designer felt comfortable with.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Of course, as you said before, if somebody who is dependent on the income or like the money that is made through typefaces, we didn't really want to ask people to give away that source of income. But of course, if a designer feels comfortable doing that, and that's totally fine.
So this time also, like, the typefaces were even like had an even bigger range in terms of like variety, or like, how do you say, like how far they were taken. So for example, Mohammed's typeface has 17 weights, or is actually, I think, variable, but the variable version wasn't ready at that point. So he gave us the 17 weights, and it's in Latin and Arabic. So that is, of course, I mean, of course, it's not about how much money you pay, because it's like a symbolic gesture, but then like this has a very different standing than a typeface that has only 1 weight, right? So these were all kind of things that we were like thinking about, but then we also, like, we've never done this before. So we were kind of like, okay, let's just, see what the people feel, what everyone feels comfortable with.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting typeface from Wozniak Young. And what I forgot to mention earlier, what we also did different in this round, is that we asked the participating designers for a little statement on how they see typefaces in a political context. And it was really interesting to get different opinions and different standing points here. So, for example, Wozniak said that he never really thought or never really saw the typeface itself in a political context, but rather the designer and the standing point of the designer. And he says that he is sometimes vocal about political issues as well, and he thinks that this doesn't only need to happen through a typeface, but also, of course, every design you do, a poster, or even participating at SoliType is, yeah, a political act. Yeah, and the second typeface is Pichuba by Emily Ora, and yeah, she talks about the disappearance of writing systems as a result of the evolution of our societies, and by designing typefaces and incorporating them into our design tools, you can give back visibility to, yeah, you can give back visibility to those cultures.
Yeah, and then we had the typeface by Mohamed Gaber that I just mentioned, or maybe you know him as Kiev Type from Cairo, and he's funnily right now studying at the school that I just graduated from in Amsterdam. So this is how I met him, and he offered us a biscriptural typeface in 17 weights, which is like really cool. And yeah, his political standpoint is, I think in Cairo he worked for Google fonts, or like building Arabic typefaces for Google, and just like the discrepancy between Latin and Arabic. And I mean, this makes his work already political, that he fills in this gap or works on filling in this gap, and he's self-taught. And I think that's also quite important for him to like, that he empowered himself in this, that he saw this lack there. And then we have this typeface from Colin Dörfler, who's based in London right now. And he talks about the fact that he wants to see his typeface used in a certain context, or that he sees the context where the typeface will be used can be a political one. So he likes to add something in his Euler, how do you say that in English? Well, you know what I mean. End user license agreement, just saying that it's not allowed to be used for like right-wing propaganda. And then we have Jeremy Triplus and the name Anton Morin. Sorry. This typeface, I think it was actually made for a client, but then wasn't used in the end, and then they donated it to us, which is really cool because it has so many stylistic alternates. And well, Jeremy says that typefaces, we can also discuss that later if you want, typefaces are kind of empty shells and have to be filled with like a story built around them, and this can be political, for example. Yeah, and then in both rounds, we had no idea how much money to expect in the first place, but in the second round we even made a little bit more than the first one, even though it was after Christmas and the first one was before Christmas. And in total we made 4,286 euros, which is very nice. We're happy about any euro that comes in. And yeah, we talked to the people from No Name Kitchen, and they told us that, like, also with Leave No One Behind 2020, we were not in contact, but with No Name Kitchen, we were actually in contact. So we were like chatting a bit with them. They were telling us that one meal is around like, with 17 euros, they can provide.
Yeah, 17 euro.
17 euros is 3 meals, like 1 day of food for 10 people. So with the second fundraiser, we kind of got the money together for 1,500 meals, which is like super nice. Yeah, and now we're very, very interested in what kind of questions you might have about anything we just spoke about, because we're also just like doing this as we go. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'll start by saying congrats for the whole project, and again to thank you for accepting our invitation. Wow, that was quite impressive, I have to say. So as a short summary for everybody, so you created SoliType as a project to raise awareness for the people in bad conditions in refugee camps in Europe. And you had 2 rounds, right? The first one was a collaboration with Leave No One Behind, and the second one with No Name Kitchen.
Yeah.
And you invited, you used your own typefaces, and you invited other designers to be part of this project as well. And people were showing you the proof that they donated to these associations. And based on that, you were giving them personal licenses and commercial licenses for some typefaces.
Yeah, depending.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, super cool. Yeah, I think I'll start with the first question. You kind of answered it during your presentation, but I'll just ask again. It's about, I was really wondering like if the Instagram algorithm was a big problem when you tried to like spread the word of your campaign and try to like gather as much awareness as possible. And like how big of a problem was that?
Quite big. I mean, at some point, I mean, we're now, I think we used an account that already had like some followers, like that was kind of like archived or not in use anymore. But I think when we started, it had like 2,000 followers, and now we're at like 4,500. And if then just like 30 people like your post, or like only, I don't know, 50 people see your story, you know that something's like wrong, right? But then also it's the one thing is that it's about political topics and hashtags. And then on the other hand, it's like, I mean, I don't run any other like professional Instagram accounts, but I think also that Instagram really wants you to pay for these like sponsored thingies.
Okay, and did you use other platforms as well, or was that the main one?
No, that was the only one we used. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that was my question, and yeah, everybody feel free to ask your questions, or I don't know, to give some feedback or anything.
Yeah. Jeremy, thank you. His name is Anton Muglia. They did it together. I'm so sorry. I forgot his name.
I have a question, if I can ask. So first of all, congratulations for the project. I think it's really, really good. Obviously, amazing that you are not only designing, also putting community together to help refugees. So that's really good. I mean, a comment between the commercial and no commercial type. I believe, I don't know the lines that you are giving, but for example, if myself, I buy the typography as a designer and I would like to create a poster and then sell it, for example, that is a commercial use already. So I won't be able to use it just for experimentation or just to, for example, to use it for another project like yours or similar to yours. That's my first question. Obviously, if my client would like to use your typography, he will need to pay a commercial or an extra commercial license to use it for their own business. But if I buy as an individual, how can I use it? And another thing is, why are you keeping this like open and closed? Why don't you, for example, it's to create excitement and then it's like limited edition. Why don't you keep it open? Because it's just to raise money. So maybe, for example, people like that just know the project, for example, today, will be able to go to your website and keep buying. That's the two suggestions.
Yeah, I would just start with the last question maybe. So I think if it would be open forever, first of all, the designer would have to permanently give away the typeface and would not be able to make any money with it anymore. That's one thing. But we also noticed that I think the shorter the amount of time is, the higher the engagement. So we raised the most donations on the first day, and on the last day, that's I guess when people are most excited about it. And midweek we noticed that people kind of I don't want to say get bored, but they're getting used to the content, so it's better to keep it short, then you can spread it out, and then you can. I think we waited how long, 1 or 2 months nearly, and can get people excited again about a new round with new typefaces.
Yeah, and to the first question, good question. So it's really like, I mean, we were also like kind of fluid with that. Like, it's not, you also don't get an Euler, right? You're just like, you can, I mean, you can make a poster and sell it. Yes, if it's kind of like not, if it's a small thing, I would say. I mean, it's also really like based on trust, huh? It's like, what does a private license mean? I don't know. But in the end, like, don't use it for a client. And even if you have like a music project that kind of has like 100,000 monthly listeners, maybe also don't use it for that, but then like invest again in like, but then also you can of course contact every designer personally. I know that at some point someone asked a similar question, and it really depends like on the designer. So I was just like, hey, just like ask the designer directly and hatch it out, because like we're just like offering this without kind of forcing any policies on anyone. So like this is also why we offer these super different typefaces or super different kind of possibilities of use. And if someone wants to offer a commercial license, that's of course perfectly fine. And this is also why we don't we never see the money and stuff, because it's more like, everyone should feel comfortable with everything. We're not a company.
No, but it's a thing. Still quite open. But I understand completely that this is like a charity project, and no many just designer will apply and buy for the. It's a thin line between private, commercial, no commercial. If I buy, for example, a typography from there, I know that if one of my clients want to use it, they will need to buy the license from the designer. But it's still in a thin line. But obviously, it was just a question if you figure it out. Like, for example, like a license for the project that the designer are like giving away this type of the rights to sell it in a no commercial, but maybe, for example, again, I understand now that it's kind of trial. You can use it, but if you want to do for something bigger, just contact directly, and that's it. But it's tricky. It's tricky. Like every single license, anyway.
I mean, in the end, I mean, how do you control it, right? I mean, also, you also don't control it if you sell a commercial license. You also don't know if that person just like, whatever.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
I only have like a small question. I don't know if you mentioned it maybe during the presentation or something, but if it's gonna be like a third round of this action, have you thought of like any other different like NGO, or is it gonna stick with the same? Or
I mean, I think we would move on to another NGO, because it's always nice to, I don't know, put kind of a spotlight on the problem, and help creating awareness for that. And of course, there are many more, like Europe Must Act, Wir Packen's An, Sea-Watch, like they're countless. So I think we're not going to run out of problems, unfortunately, to support, which is sad. But and we're definitely going to do a third round, because Charlotte explained it earlier, but due to this snowball principle, by always getting new designers on board, we always create a new reach. We have different circles and different followers. So I think this principle can work for quite a while, pretty well.
Yeah. Also, if you have like suggestions, for organizations, for example, we're very happy about any kind of input. And yeah, we're also like eventually doing, I mean, since this project is so free, we're also kind of like working on other collaborations for other fundraising purposes. So it's like, yeah, it gives a lot of freedom, which is also kind of nice. Yeah.
One thing before I forget, we haven't mentioned that yet, that we also did like a open call for graphic designers, because that's another interesting thing, that as a designer you, or like as any person, you can not only donate money, but you can also donate your skills. And there's always the option to just message any NGO and ask if they need support. And as designers, obviously, they always need design. Is it for flyers or merch or the external communication? So if you have time and capacity, feel free to do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. How long was each round when you had the? How long was the 1 week?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we were actually, I think at first we talked about 2, and then we were also thinking, like, since we're just making the most money on the first and the last day, if we can just like skip everything in between and like do, I don't know, like Friday to Sunday. But I think that doesn't work. That wouldn't work. But like, I think a week is good. It's like from Sunday to Sunday. Yeah.
And when did they happen?
Sorry?
When were the first 2 rounds? Like when were they live?
The first one was in, I think, in end of November, beginning of December. And no, earlier, or in November. And the second one was actually last week. Yeah.
But we also decided that we're gonna open the second one again for everyone who's on this call today. So if anyone wants to make a donation and get a typeface in exchange.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, we're gonna check the emails tomorrow and then send stuff out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I had a question about like people who want to, as designers, be a part of the project. Did you get a lot of people who wanted to be like type designers who wanted their projects be on these rounds or like contribute? And do you have like some criteria of like selection, or are you right now accepting, like, is there some kind of process of doing that?
I think we had some people that wanted to, but not so many, maybe like 3 or 4. I mean, we're super happy about everyone who wants to donate. I think what we're kind of looking at is that that there's people from like different cities, different like, and that the typefaces are kind of like not too similar. But other than that, we're happy about anything. But actually, I think for the next time we already have like, we had to postpone 2 people, I think. So yeah.
I would like to say something. I found in this last round the question you made to the type designers like super interesting. Like how do they link like type design, or if they even thought about how type design was linked with social movements, because I think it truly is. And well, I would like to know, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us it was also really important and interesting to get those different takes on the different designers have. And I, for myself, I always struggled with the question, because I I do pretty designs, but who am I helping with, you know? And yeah, no, but it's true. I think, yeah, SoliType was for me the first time where I really felt like, wow, I'm actually able to make a little bit of a change, or like, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's like to answer the question from like, I mean, I've been doing type design now for like 3 or 4 years, which is really not that long, but like I find that type design theory is, or like design theory is often very like formalistic or historical, which kind of I find a bit like exhaustive, or it's kind of like circling around itself. And this is like the school that I attended in here in Amsterdam, the Sempik Institute, has a very like political approach to design, and it kind of looks more at design as a tool for political agendas in that sense. So, and I think it's also really easy within, I mean, there's a story about Paul Rand kind of resigning from Yale because they hired Sheila de Bretteville, right? Because he was like, politics have nothing to do in the classroom, and like if she's hired for her feminist graphic design, I'm gonna resign because all we should do here is aesthetics. And I find that very like problematic. So I think it's also just good to like think about these things, and that graphic design is highly political. I mean, everything you do is highly political. Like just the price that you give your typeface is political, like for who is it accessible. And I think it's very easy within graphic design to forget about these things. So it was important for us to just talk about it, and also, yeah, talk money.
Yes, I completely agree with you. I also think that graphic design is just like the reflection of the things that are happening in society. And of course, you can go into like empty graphic design for masses, but the one that counts is the one that can really is reflecting and communicating the social movements, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting because I was like on a Clubhouse talk the other week, and there was a question like how typefaces can mirror political moods because they take so long to develop. And I found that quite interesting questions, but like I personally, I work quite fast, so I don't take 10 years to release a typeface, which I maybe should, but that's a different kind of topic. But then anyway, like then maybe graphic design more than type design, but then also like, yeah, exactly, like how you price it, how you name it, like what's your reference, how do you like inscenate it. That's a bit like what Jeremy said about like inscenating or like creating this narrative around it. Has a political impact in that sense.
Yes, maybe Jeremy can tell us a bit more about.
Sorry, I dragged you into this.
Come over here, Jeremy.
Yeah. Should I really add something?
Oui.
As you feel.
I mean, my point was also to say that typefaces are really not political by themselves. It's like, and as you said, design is a bit useless in general to talk about politics, but then you have to have a clear discourse. It's not, your design won't be political by itself. You have to have a discourse, and then you can maybe like put this discourse with your typeface or whatever piece of design you are making, and you can make your design piece fit to this discourse, but not the way around. The other way around. It's not like you can't have just a typeface and put some discourse into it. I don't know.
I kind of disagree.
Yeah?
Yeah. also just for fun, but I kind of disagree, because I feel, I mean, you're always referencing kind of things, no? Like you play with connotations in that sense. So I think, like, I mean, graphic design for me, for sure, is kind of like, I mean, I don't know if I quite understand. I mean, the graphic design is already like, already has the story in it, right? Because it's like for something in most cases. But then even a typeface, I feel like there was like this one person from my department a year before me, Matteo Boyer, and he was like doing research on the typeface that the Spanish police had on their vests. And it was really this like science fiction kind of typeface. And it was kind of really interesting to like see how the police then brands themselves with like a science fiction kind of like iRobot typeface and these kind of things. But maybe that's like,
yeah. No, but I understand your point. Like, it's anything can be political, and for sure design as like anything in history can be. Then sorry, I have something boiling. I was cooking during the talk. It's why I was with the camera off. Sorry. But typefaces are products. Because they are products available to anyone. Anyone can write anything with them. And as you said, some designers can try to affect that by putting something in their EULA or having a clear discourse and then maybe directing their fonts. And as also pricing differently their fonts for different people. But at the end, anyone can use the typeface for anything.
Yeah. But then I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, then still it's like, because the typeface kind of represents you. So there's kind of you as a, like, either as a point of resistance or as a point of like agreement within that. Like either you reinforce it or, but then yeah, people kind of have to know who you are and where the typeface comes from.
Yeah, and at the end they don't.
Huh?
At the end they don't. They don't know who we are and things like that. And people who go to the, I don't know, like to the website of the CIA, they don't know that it's the fonts are GuiLeType. And even if GuiLeType would say, we don't like the CIA, like who cares? I mean.
Yeah. Okay, point taken.
Yeah, it's just what I had to say.
If I had, like, sorry to interrupt or something, if I had to like comment on this, actually, like, I guess it makes sense a lot when you say that these typefaces are like empty shells where you can put like a message on them or whatever, because at the end of the day they're like letters that anyone can like organize them in the, like, trying to convey a message that might not be on your in symphony with your own political ideas. And I guess that's why maybe it's kind of important to like this to create this discourse or this speech that is behind this typeface, or that is like actually selling the typeface, just to maybe make the selling of this typeface become a kind of a message with it, like and it can like materialize in the actual visuals that you create to sell it around, or yeah, or just to explain like how you explain the process, or is it coming from, or something. I guess that makes a lot of sense, yeah, and probably should be done more often than it is right now.
Yeah, or as we saw on the example of Emily or Mohammed, that it also matters what kind of typeface you design, and that the design of a typeface of a script that's maybe not Latin is a political act in itself. Or I think also as a woman in type design, you working in that field is already a political act, because women are still underrepresented as, yeah, graphic designers in general, but also as type designers. So not only the typeface as a shell or as a visual, but also, yeah, the act of creating it can be political for yourself. And it doesn't really matter if the person who uses the typeface knows it and knows who you are, but it matters in the bigger context. yeah, and for the representation of, yeah, in the design world in general.
Yeah.
So I guess that the important thing here is that we have as much as different representation in typefaces, so everyone has a voice. That's why what I would understand, like a conclusion. No?
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree, absolutely.
Okay, we got also like 3 more questions in the chat from Ashwini Kumar Gupta. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. So the first one is in relation to licensing, was there a difference in drafting the special license than a personal license?
There is no license.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't. It was really very trust-based. So we didn't send out licenses, but we wrote a short email saying, depending on what typeface it was, we said, hey, please make sure to only use it for personal use or not. But we didn't blow it up in that way that we spoke to a lawyer and created a license. So yeah.
If someone wants to donate their draft of a license to us, we're very happy about that.
Good idea.
So all the lawyers that are online right
Present.
now,
Yeah.
please send a DM.
I don't think we are lawyers, but we have a fairly, I don't know, we have a EULA we can just send you if you want to just go through, I guess.
That would be super nice. I'm not gonna
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and there's a second question, actually 2 more. So the second question is if you spotted any instances of people passing around the typefaces once they had the license. So I guess like kind of pirating it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do a little ritual with a lot of like sage and voodoo dolls, and that person is gonna be haunted by nightmares forever, because this is how you deal with stolen typefaces as an independent type designer, because you cannot afford the lawyer.
Fair enough, who needs license when you got voodoo?
Exactly.
Okay, and the third question would be if you are thinking about holding an online exhibition of sorts, wherein everyone who received the typeface can use it and put it in up, maybe. Maybe the money raised by selling those artworks could also go to the charity.
That's a really nice idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we were thinking about next steps could be a website, but it would actually be nice to gather all the designs that are made with SoliType types. But also to mention another thing we forgot is that we have a collaboration coming up with Teak. They do T-shirts mainly, yeah.
Right now.
Right now in exchange for donations, and we are going to create a nice T-shirt that you can soon see and buy, and everything, all the profits are going to be donated as well, and we're going to use all the typefaces, and it's going to be nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I would have another question. So first of all, if you are like planning to continue with SoliType, like for one more round.
Yeah.
And if so, then how can people get involved in, or how can they help your cause?
I mean, I think the biggest help is actually donating. The work process, I think, with 2 people, it's kind of fine. Or Charlotte, what do you? I mean, at least for where we are right now, when we start thinking about a website and further steps, then of course it would be great to maybe get some more people on board. But as we haven't really made a plan for that yet, it's hard to say. But of course, like anyone is very welcome to to help, and you can just like write us a DM or an email and reach out, and I'm sure there's always a way to collaborate and work together.
Yeah, or also like what we had, I think it was the Type Foundry of the Hochschule in Karlsruhe. I think they just did the same thing as we did, like they just mimicked it, or like offered the same thing. And of course, like you can also do that. And of course, it's nice to form an alliance in that sense, to like also help each other, like kind of featuring each other to like just like create some sort of alliance. But then of course also we're happy about anything, just we're just vibing, we're just seeing what comes up.
Nice, thank you. Okay, so are there any more questions? Now's your chance.
Hi, we have a question, or kind of a double question. So first, what challenges there were? You have touched upon some of them with licensing and pricing and stuff, but like it's always nice if anything just went wrong, or like something went not as planned, and also now that you're doing the next round, what you will do differently because of that, or it could also be things that were just inspired to do that you have thought of adding or changing.
Nothing went really wrong, I think.
I think nothing. I mean, what can be said is that the second round was definitely harder than the first one for some reason. I think we thought we have a idea of what's to come, and then suddenly everything, I don't know, it felt a bit more complicated this time, but I think that's a good sign, because we're just like constantly in a loop and trying to make things better. But I think we're already, like the main problems we already mentioned. What do you think, Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, this time it was also harder because personally I was in a huge winter depression, and then also we had 2 more type designers, like because we didn't have to manage ourselves, but like other people, it was like suddenly 5 people to like manage, and like, so no, we didn't really have problems in that sense. I mean, but like what we did this time is actually pay for sponsoring on Instagram. Like we invested some money ourselves, and actually I'm not sure how I feel about this, that we like have to do it, you know, because otherwise we were like literally 30 people were watching our stories, and like even with like multiplying it through other channels, I mean, that was weird. Like Instagram is like I'm not gonna say anything mean now. Yeah, probably the most intricate thing is like to keep the excitement up, because in the end we're like entertaining graphic designers, right? Like
I think that's the main. I mean, we also mentioned that earlier, but finding this balance of what do people want to see and what do we want people to see. So like we kind of have to feed the information but make it sexy, but not too sexy, because then it's weird. So it's like finding this balance between nice design and wow, this is like a huge problem. And I mean, I sometimes think about it, like even like personally, when I post some design work and then 10 minutes later I post something political about people suffering or people in need, then I think I feel already weird that it's next to each other, while the design feels so unimportant next to such big problems. But I think there's no we're doing it for the first time, and I think many people also, there's no guide on how to do it, and we have to find a way of what feels right. And it's definitely tricky.
Yeah, we're like having a lot of conversations just about how to do things, I think.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I would say that this link you've made is like the last push for people like me that are always like would like to contribute to a cause, but it's like, okay, I will do it later. Oh, okay, but then and then you find this and then you just do it, and it's like cool.
Yeah, that's actually been really nice, because we got a lot of super nice emails too, where people said exactly what you just said, that they were always thinking of doing something or didn't really know when or how, and that it was like the last push, yeah, to actually do it. And I mean, that's amazing if that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still have you said you had a second question, right?
It was just like what you're gonna like change, update, add, like from the first to the second time you added these questions where the designers could add some perspective. So we're just curious what next round is gonna, which way it's gonna be different.
We haven't even spoken about it, actually. we haven't even decided to make a third round, but I think that's like, we're past that.
I thought that goes without saying.
I mean, of course, we're gonna have like new designers, and yeah, I'm really interested to like find projects that like experiment with different languages. Actually, I think we were looking into maybe a Cyrillic typeface. Actually, I was already researching graphic designers from the area where the camps are, so Serbia or Bulgaria, and maybe like work a bit more local, but like we haven't really made plans. I don't know. Any ideas, Vivien?
No, not yet. I'm quite relieved to having finished the second round. So I'm like,
it's always quite intense.
Yeah.
You also spend so much time on your phone. Like you get this little like note how much time you spend on your phone, and I was shocked.
It's true.
Yeah. It's gonna be a surprise.
Okay. I think that was the last question. Or Charlotte, I know you also gotta go home soon because there's the curfew there. Didn't forget. So yeah, if there are no other questions, then yeah, I think we'll just wrap this up. And I'll thank you again for accepting our invitation and for sharing your project. It's truly inspiring to see how design can actually make a positive change in the world, like on a political level. And I'm sure a lot of people that joined us today left with something. Yeah.
Thank
you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and thanks for the support also from your side. It's really amazing to see. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. And it was also a good talk, very good talk. Good discussion. And yeah, we're gonna open SoliType for one more day. So if you feel like expanding
now
your
you
library,
have to, you kind of have to. There's
that
too
was
much
the
pressure.
whole point of this talk. You have to. Just kidding. You can if you want to.
So before we all leave, I would like to all of you turn on your cams so we can make a picture, if you are okay with it. We were 60 persons connected, in case you were wondering, at the beginning of the talk.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Okay, so I will wait a bit more. Yes, you are coming. It's nice to see all the faces behind those names. And I really hope that we can meet soon in person and have a beer. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. So
Thank
it's worth
you.
continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Have a
See you
nice
next time.
evening.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot for coming. And before everybody's leaving, I still have one more thing to say. So a big shout out to the whole team. Thank you to Marta. Thank you to Kim. Thank you to Rob. Thank you to who am I forgetting? Thank you to Anna and of course to Neil for making this possible. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram for future updates for the next event. And we are always looking for people to join the team. So if you want to be part of Type Thursday Berlin, just drop us a DM on Instagram, and yeah, we'll get you into the team. Thank you again, everybody, for joining, and see you next time.
Bye bye.
Tschüssi.
Thank you. Bye bye.